Well, Morgan, thank you very much. And it is exciting to be here tonight because we're going to be talking about something that is extraordinarily important. And what that is it's you living your life the way that you want. As an entrepreneur, as someone who creates value in the world and takes it out there, there are certain ways you can succeed in that and certain ways that you can probably fail. So what we're going to do tonight is going to look at some historical perspectives of what has worked, the kind of mindset that is really necessary to get ahead, and give you a chance to really make a difference in your own life. We want to do that. This is not just going to be a sage on the stage talking kind of thing, because I'm just a regular guy getting out there and as an entrepreneur, started with nothing and have been able to, and very honored to have been blessed in a lot of good areas, being talking around the world in different areas. And I want to help you. So as you have questions, by all means, put those into the area there we've got where you can put in questions, and you can also put in the chat. If you have a question, that would be real good, so that way Morgan can go in there and take a look at it, and we can hear what it is. Let us know who you are, where you are. It's always interesting to know that, and what your question is if you have some of those about the entrepreneurial experience. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that. I'm going to be using some of the magic of technology today. So what I can do is I can show you other slides and other things that are available there, and then what I'm going to do is use some of that technology and just kind of beam over there so I can be over here as well and be in a couple of different places and operate the whole thing like that. We're going to be talking about that entrepreneurial lifestyle with freedom and liberty being what I like to call an agorapreneur. Agorapreneur is a term that I came up with, but it's the idea of being an entrepreneur. And while you're an entrepreneur, you also embrace the agora lifestyle. Agora is from a Greek word meaning open spaces. And it's the idea of people interacting voluntarily and peacefully. That's the key. Peacefully with each other, never initiating force or coercion, but we're able to do a lot. And as entrepreneurs, we go out and create it. So that's really what we're talking about when we say, hey, let's be entrepreneur and let's be agorapreneur. And really what we're talking about there is the idea of you living your life and having the freedom that you want, the freedom to live your life your way without others initiating force against you. Sometimes they will, though, and that's where you have a right to defend yourself, of course. But we're going to talk about ways that you can do that and some of the proven time-honored principles that can help you. Here's something that I really find very interesting from John Wooden, the great basketball coach. He's brilliant. He said, do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. And I think too often we do that. And we say, gee, I can't do this. Oh, it's no good. I can't do it. I'm not good enough for this or whatever. But I think John is right on this. And matter of fact, I'm going to even build on top of what he says and add to it with the Terry Brock revision of that is do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do or could do with the right education. See, that's the key today. You want to take that mindset that says, hey, I might not be able to do it right now. You just wait. I'm going to take the courses. I'm going to hire the mentors. I'm going to learn what to do. And then the world opens up to you in a beautiful, wonderful way on that. Because what we want to do is we want to continue learning and adapting on a regular basis so that you can then say, hey, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to learn. Now, we've done it before in virtual ways. We've done it before in being there in person. We're going to be doing more in person later. But what you want to do is devote yourself to continuous learning and adapting. In a world that is changing so rapidly, we need to do that. We have to make sure that we're adapting and adjusting regularly. As a matter of fact, one of the ways I'm going to do it right off the bat here, I want to give you something. There's no charge for this at all. I'm not making anything on it. It's something for you, a course that I put together on how to create content, I call it my 5K program, the 5K solution. Get this, create compelling quality content quickly. Get it? Get 5K. Okay, work with me on this. Come on. Okay, it's fun. But what we do is in this, I'm going to give you a lot of good information on how to create compelling quality content quickly. That's important. And you're also going to learn how to get ideas from publishing and analysis. I know many of you are creating content in the form of video, text, audio, pictures, and other forms. I'm going to show you some tools that can help you enormously on that. And we're going to give some specific nitty-gritty tools. Here's how you use it that can help you. You might be using some of these, but there might be some others you go, I haven't tried that yet. Sounds good. So you'll be able to get in there with that. And some creative ideas for you. So all of that is there. Go to terrybrock.com/5K. And notice the K is in lowercase. So it's terrybrock.com/5K. No charge for that at all. And I just want to be there to help you. Well, here's a question I want to ask you. How can you adapt? How do you go about adapting when things keep changing so fast in your world that it's hard to keep up? How would an entrepreneur, an agorapreneur do that? Well, I think we can learn from looking at historical examples of what people did right years ago and blend those into our lifestyle today, and getting those kind of things helping us. Here was a problem that they had in the United States back in the 1850s. The US at that time was largely populated in the East, a little bit more in the Midwest, and then it started getting populated over here in this newfangled place they were calling California. And they had a big gulf there. How are we going to get information from one place to the other? And it was kind of tough to do that, because when they did it, see, what they would have to do is they would have to go from, say, if they're going to go from Boston, let's say over here in Boston, to go down, they had to come all the way down to the coast here and up in those ships, go around Florida, but Florida wasn't even a state then, but it came about a little bit later, and then all the way down around South America, and then come over here and right back up and arrive in San Francisco. So that was a very long trip getting over there. And then sometimes would take 1 month was pretty fast. 2 months was about normal, or even 3 months sometimes, depending on weather, mutinies, and who knows what kind of nastiness would happen. But it was a real chore to do that. And they thought, okay, what are we going to do? And what happened at that time is that those who were entrepreneurial started thinking, hey, there's got to be a way we can do this a little bit better. And so what they did is they sat down and they said, okay, we've got to do something to get from one place to another. And they came up with the idea of right here in St. Joe, Missouri, not too far from Kansas City, in St. Joe, Missouri, what they said is we could start with some folks riding horses, and we're going to have it as an express. And they would come from here, go on up a little bit, going up over the Rocky Mountains, come back down, exchanging information and exchanging their leaflets that they were taking, and end up in San Francisco. And they did that in record time for them. Now, record time, of course, can be a subjective thing, because here's what it was for them, really. It was a total of 10 days. But think about that. 10 days, we look at it and go, whoa, that's a long time. Well, for them, that was pretty fast, because they were able to get it there instead of the 3 months, 10 days. Entrepreneurs came up with that idea and said, hey, let's just figure out a way to do it. And you see, that's the key. What you want to do as an entrepreneur is you study the market. And you're like, there's a problem here. We got a problem over there. Problems are good. When you're an entrepreneur, you want those. You feast on those for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Find the problem and then figure out creative ways that you can add value in a cost-effective way so that you are able to do it and people are able to purchase that from you in a way that is reasonable for them, reasonable for you, and you are making money with it. That's what you want to do. And when you can do that, hey, you're going to do pretty well. And that's what they did with the Pony Express, coming up with that. And the way they did it, they had to do some recruiting, and they had to get some special people who can teach us a lot today. These are people that responded to this ad. Listen, to get a load of this. Wanted, young, skinny, wiry fellows, not over 18, must be expert riders willing to risk death daily. Daily risk death. Okay. Orphans preferred. Oh no. Then you can think, oh my, this is really challenging. But they paid them a priestly sum of about $25 per week, which would come out in today's dollar somewhere around $800 or so. So that's not too bad. Not too bad. And they wanted to do that. You apply at the Central Express. And so what they did is they got these young, skinny, wiry fellows like this gentleman right here to come in there, and he could ride a horse really well. See, they had specialized knowledge. That's key. They had a specialized knowledge of how to ride that horse, keep the horse going strong, take care of the horse so it gets them there safely, learn how to navigate in the midst of different kinds of terrain, be aware of dangers that exist in many different forms, from animal life, from human beings, also from other pitfalls that would be there literally. And they were able to do this in a really good way. And the folks like this guy, this is an actual picture that's from there, from that era. They were able to do that, and they had quite a skill, and they did pretty well with that. So let's take a look at the Pony Express itself and some of the facts about it that not many people know. For instance, you know now, I've told you, it's 10 days from St. Joseph, Missouri to San Francisco, California. So they were exchanging it kind of in a relay. They'd take their packet of mail, run it up to the next station, hand it off to the next driver, who would then take it and run it up to the next driver. 10 days in a row. So it took a lot of thinking and engineering to get that done. they, as entrepreneurs, came up with that idea to make it work. They were changing riders along the way. But here is the news that not many people know about that really has profound effects for you and me today. And that is the Pony Express only existed from April 3rd, 1860 to October 24th, 1861. I would have thought it would last longer than that, but no, it was a very short time span in that, because they had some things going on. They had other technologies that were there, and it was technology ultimately faced with a national crisis that brought that about. Now think about it. What happened then? In October 1861, they were in the middle of something called, I think incorrectly called, the Civil War. Really more the war between the states is what it was. A civil war is when you have two sides fighting to take over the government. The South was not trying to take over the North. They just wanted to be free. They kind of wanted to secede, much like the American revolutionary colonists wanted to simply secede from England. They didn't want to take over England. They just wanted to secede. But that's what happened. And it was technology that ultimately did it. Technology did it. And the technology that was there was replaced by, what do you think? I want you to write it down. Grab a pen and paper and just write it down, just for yourself. Write down, what was the technology that replaced the Pony Express? Something that was there. Some people think, well, it might have been this or that or thing. Maybe it was trains. Maybe it was that. No, it wasn't trains, but it was the telegraph. And the telegraph, you see, existed before the Pony Express. It was invented in 1823, invented by Samuel Morse. And he came up with the Morse code. Remember that thing? The Morse code that was there. And what you had to do is have these little dots and dashes, beep, 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 those kind of things. I don't know Morse code, but I know you can hear it sounds like that. It gives you the ability to transmit that. And you see, as they were able to finally start building those lines from St. Joe all the way to many other places, including out to San Francisco, obviously it was much faster than even their 10 days. So you see, what happened is technology took the place of an existing skill that people had. They had to be really good, being Pony Express riders, but the telegraph said, we don't care how fast you can ride a horse. We can do it much faster than you can in 10 days. So this technology came along, and many people learned that. They learned about the telegraph. They learned how to operate it. They learned a specific skill. And then guess what happened? The telegraph was replaced by technology. And the technology that replaced that one, you're probably going to guess this one right off the bat. Yep, that old telephone. The older telephone that was not anywhere near as good as what we have today, but they were breakthrough at that time. Alexander Graham Bell coming up with the idea, Watson, come here, I need you. And that was the famous phrase that was over the telephone. He just kind of forgot that he was using that. He was just kind of saying it to himself, hoping that he could get Watson. Watson came in there and they realized the telephone worked. Well, this telephone really revolutionized communication around the world in many different ways. And it was used in a variety of ways. Matter of fact, the technology emerged so they could do even more. And at one point, they had telephone operators who would be there, and they would be able to plug a little wire into a board. So if you want to call, say, New York, and you were in Dayton, Ohio, what you would do is you would call the Dayton, Ohio operator. She would have a slot that would be for New York, and that would plug you through to that. And it took a lot of manual operation. Well, you know what? That gave real good employment for those people that became operators. But you see, the employment is one of those things that's only temporary. It's not really something you can count on forever and ever. It'd be kind of like saying, well, when they laid off those people at the Pony Express, that they would say, gee, we needed to have a union so that they would keep us going. And I could just see them running around, unfair to young, skinny, wiry fellows, and running around with that if it were like today. But they just said, no, things have changed. Technology has come here. I'm going to have to go for it and change. And that's what they did. And they changed, and eventually they needed a skill for people doing this. Matter of fact, my mother, long, long ago, operated as a telephone operator and did that as one of the jobs. She usually was a housewife raising me and my brother and sister, but she did from time to time, had to make ends meet. And she did this and worked on the telephone. And then it was like that. And so now today, though, things are quite different. Obviously, we know we use these in a dramatic way, using our cell phones to do things that today even a president of the United States could not have done. I can take my cell phone right here, And as you know, I can find out all kinds of information that I want, tying in with my friends over at Google and looking at what's available at DuckDuckGo and other places like that, other search engines and other banks and repository of knowledge. I can create broadcasts that are acceptable on any TV station in the world, radio broadcasts that would be accepted, top quality audio. I can do so many things with this. And that's what we've got today because entrepreneurs, again, came up with these ideas to make it happen, to make it stick, and to make it work. And I think the real key is what we've got to do is adapt. And I think Teddy Roosevelt said it real well. I didn't like a lot of things that Teddy Roosevelt did, but I did like this phrase: do what you can with what you've got right where you are. And I think he was right on target with that. I was not I'll have you know, I did not vote for Teddy Roosevelt. I'll have you know, in 1904, I was more of a Parker guy, myself. But nevertheless, I think that there's a lot of wisdom in that and what we can do. But you see, what you got to do is you've got to do the work. Too often we think, well, I'm just going to get these good ideas. I'm going to have these ideas and I'm going to have that, and that'll be the key. Or sometimes people will say, oh, gee, what am I going to do? I had this idea and someone took it and they stole it and they ran with it. Well, having the idea is nice, but what you got to do is you got to get in there and actually do the work. You get in there doing push-ups, just thinking about it and saying how wonderful push-ups are, not going to do it for you. What you got to do, you've got to do the reps. Do the reps that are going to be there for you, because each person is running into different kinds of situations. Each person's running into something that's going to be different. And what you want to do is be able to embrace what needs to be done and do it right. So here's what I want to do. I want to give you some steps you can take. They're going to help you in the entrepreneurial work that either you're doing now or that you want to do later. The steps and the keys to unlock that. First of all, you want to identify market needs. Find out what the world is looking for. When I went to business school, they told us you find a need and fill it. We've all heard that many times. So what you want to do is look out there for problems, kind of like the Pony Express. There was a problem. How did they get messages from places like Boston and Washington, D.C. and other areas, New York City? How do we get those messages out to San Francisco? And the telegraph had not been built out. They came up with the idea of the Pony Express. And for the few months that it did exist, it did very well. Did very well, and it was something that really helped a lot of people with that. So you got to think in terms of, what can I do that's going to solve that problem? And by doing that, you will make yourself do well as well. Study the marketplace and what the needs are for the marketplace, because the marketplace is constantly changing. It's constantly moving and adapting. That's what you've got to do. Look at where the pain is. If you follow the pain, you're going to find that you will be able to solve problems. Follow the pain, see where people are hurting, and then go from there into those areas where you're going to be able to help them even more and be able to come up with that. So first of all, you identify the market needs. And then here's another thing that's real important. Your expertise, develop that. Develop your expertise in areas that are really needed. Find out what people are looking for. I often like to say, you've got to have something that is incredibly market valuable in the skills. Don't get something that, well, the market says we don't care about that. Like so many people are studying areas in school and college today that, frankly, there's not a big demand for that. And when you get out with a degree, there's not a whole big demand. They're not going to pay you a lot of money just because you got a whole lot of debt in 4 years of college. No, you want to find something that's really applicable. Too many times, I often just say, hypothetically, people say, well, they're an expert on tsetse flies in Ethiopia from the 15th century. Well, Scooter, there's no big market for that. You want to make sure that you got something the market says, hey, she can teach us that, or she can do that for us. He can do that. He can work and get that problem solved for us. Okay, how much is that going to be? Okay, that's a reasonable number. Okay, we'll do that. That's what you're looking for. That combination of all of those things with your skills and making sure that the market is there and it matches your expertise. And by the way, one of the really nice things about the expertise, your expertise can and should always be expandable. Always learning relevant new material, market valuable skills, not just skills for the sake of knowing skills, Learn what is market valuable. Make sure you do that so you're studying it like a scientist would. As a scientist, watch that solution in there, and she's studying that to make sure, okay, everything's working just right, or got an idea, let's try this. That's what you need to be as an entrepreneur, part scientist, looking at what's going on. And you really need specialized knowledge. This is something that Napoleon Hill talks about in his book, Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read that book, I highly, highly recommend you get Think and Grow Rich. And if you have read it, I recommend you read it again. I like to read it every so often, maybe sometimes every year, and I'll go through and find new nuggets of information in there. Think and Grow Rich was written back in 1937, and it has helped to create many, many millionaires and very successful people following those principles and adapt them for what we're doing today in light of the 21st century needs of the marketplace. You're going to do well, but develop specialized knowledge. He talks about that as one of the most important things that you can do. You want something that the market says, okay, that's something that nobody else can do, and you want to be the very best in a particular field. Don't be just yet another person who can do something. You want to be able to do something that the market values and that they're ready, willing, and able to pay for. Specialized knowledge is going to be the real key in all of that. His book, Think and Grow Rich, is one that you want to get hold of and really not just read it, but devour it. And by the way, as a side note, you probably have heard that phrase, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin Delano Roosevelt said that in his inaugural address in 1933. And it was Napoleon Hill who wrote that for him. And Napoleon Hill worked with FDR that first term, working with him on some things, and he got a little bit disgruntled with him and went on from there. But there was a lot that was valuable on that. And I think what Napoleon Hill said really makes a lot of sense. Okay, and then here's another step that you want to take. Out of these three, you want to develop that expertise and something that has your passion, something that gets you excited, that gives you the juice in the morning to get up and get going and keep it going. Too many people start with passion and stay with that. And that's all they do. They think, okay, if I got the passion, then I'm okay. No, it's a lot more than that, but you do need that just to keep you going, because there's going to be times when it gets, I don't want to do this. Find the thing that you're passionate about. And it might be that you're just passionate about making that business succeed and generating money. One of the most honorable and spiritual things you can do is make honest money. Earning money, creating wealth is something that's really good. Making money is a phrase, Ayn Rand told us this, making money is something that was really came up with here in the United States. Before that, it was more take it from others, with the idea of capitalism, free market enterprise. You create, you make money. And no, it's not making money to print paper and then say, okay, this is money. That really is not technically making money. I'm no economist, but those who really are, that are really smart on that, like Leonard Reed, founder of Fee, and others, that is something that you want to look at and see, how can we go out and create wealth for others so that others will do well simply because, well, that's what you've done. Well, here's some other opportunities that are going to be available for you today. This is something that can help you as you are building your business, either right now or into the future. Correspondence courses were something that were years ago. I think they still have a few of those, but correspondence course where you learn something. I remember I took one of those long, long ago in economics. I needed some extra credits, so I took one. I think it was from the University of Oklahoma. And through the mail, they would send lessons back and forth. We're not using that very much today, because today we're using others, like the University of YT. The University of course, YouTube. You can learn a lot by doing that. Often today we say, how do I do such and such? We go to YouTube and type it in. And so, by the way, also, because many people are going to YouTube, you and I, as searchers of knowledge, we're seeking information. You can go to YouTube, type in something, and hey, look at that. Here it is. This is really good. Think about how you could create something yourself, doing videos, creating videos on solving problems, and show that. And then people see that and they go, hey, I like what he says. I want to start following him. Then they build up that relationship. They get to know you. And that's what you want. You want them getting to know you, and then find products and services you can offer to them. And of course, the University of Google, I'm making that up myself here, University of Google, Googling things and using DuckDuckGo for privacy as well. Really, really good working with that. And you can get opportunities as a coach or a mentor. and using coaches and mentors. I do both. I coach a lot of people on using technology, on presentation skills, on how to present yourself well on video. These are things that I do, but I also hire coaches to teach me specific tasks so that I learn them, then I create that and work with it even more and come up with other ways to enjoy that and help them in ways. And Mastermind Alliance. These are ways that you can really start growing and getting a lot of people around you, helping you in many different ways. And then leveraging video. That's something I would encourage you to do. Think about how you can use video in many different ways. We're using it right here, so I can use this, and coming through Zoom, I'm able to send you a message and you can see me as I am. I'm here, I'm visiting right now here in Atlanta, even though I live in Orlando. We're visiting now. I can use video, adapt and adjust, and get a message to you from just about anywhere. And matter of fact, one of the tools that's out there, I don't get any compensation for this, although they probably should give me some, but a great little company that does this is called uscreen.tv. You can grow a streaming business that way by putting videos out there, and you pay them a flat monthly fee or a yearly fee, and they do not take a commission. They let you keep 100% of your proceeds. Nice little service. I've worked with clients on this myself. They have used it, and I think it's a good service. And again, I'm not getting any compensation for this. I just want to share it with you as a liberty lover. And online courses are amazing. Right now, this is one of the prime ways that we can learn and earn. Learn from those courses that are out there that are really, really good, and earn by creating online courses that can help others to achieve their goals and then sell those for a profit. We can also learn a lot from others. I learned a great deal from a man named Carlos a little while ago. He asked me to be an opening keynote speaker at a conference he was holding down in Colombia, in Bogota. And I wanted to come down. He and his people asked me to come down, and I got a chance to work with him. And this Carlos is this man right here, Carlos Slim. Carlos Slim from Mexico, wonderful man. And he hosted this program called Fathers and Sons, which are some of the richest people, the wealthiest people in Central and South America. And I was amazed. Here's a man who at one time, from 2010 to 2013, Carlos was the richest man in the world. And he knows a lot. And when I saw him there and I got a chance to deal with him over a course of about 2 or 3 days, it was really enlightening to see how he has a thirsty mind. He's always learning and always progressing and doing a lot. And just being with him helped me to learn a lot about what to do. And here's one thing I learned. Watch this. Look at this. This blew me away with him. This is a shot that I got. I was in the front row. All these people around there, many of these multi-millionaires, multi-hundred millionaires and billionaires from all around Central and South America. That gentleman speaking there was the closing speaker for the event. His name is Ivan Duque. Ivan Duque is the current president of Colombia. So he was there, and I want you to see this. Look at this. There's Carlos Slim on the front row taking notes. He is there. He's a lifetime learner, multi-billionaire, taking notes. I got to tell you, I was blown away when I gave my presentation. He was there on the front row, right in front of me, taking pictures of my slides, taking notes. And when I finished, you know what you do as a speaker, you finish your presentation, you're packing up things, packing up my computer and putting it in a bag. Carlos Slim looked up and he says, "Oh, Terry, could you come down and talk to me?" And I thought, "Oh, yeah, that'd be great." By the way, he speaks fluent English and, of course, fluent Spanish because he lives in Mexico, is a Mexican, and he might know some other languages too. We came down, and the interchange was very high-level questions that he had about social media and how executives and CEOs can deploy that, how CEOs can deploy video more effectively. And he is doing that now. He owns so much of the telephone and the cellular industry there in Mexico and the oil industry and several. He's one of the largest owners of the New York Times, and he is very diversified. But this man gave me the example of how to do it and how you can too. Look, even at his age, with all the money he has, and at this time he was 79 years old, still learning, still taking notes. And I think this is incredible, an incredible way to learn and to keep going and to move ahead. Now, here's another person who can help you and me a lot. This lady's name is Carol Dweck. She is a professor of psychology at Stanford University. She has another book I want you to go look into called Mindset. Mindset that can change. This is based on science. As a psychologist herself, She talks about the importance of the mindset you have. And as an entrepreneur, this is critical. She said in the book, there are two main mindsets we can navigate with: growth and fixed. Having a growth mindset is essential for success. Oh, and by the way, this is screenshotable. If I can make that into a word, screenshotable, get a screenshot of that and remember that quote from her, because that is so important. Too many people go through life thinking, oh, gee, I can't do it because I'm whatever this race is, or whatever I am, a man or a woman, or I'm this gender, or whatever, or I'm this size, or I'm that size, or because of this, or I'm from this country, or whatever it is. And it's just pure nonsense. I'm thinking there's a more colorful military term from that, but I'll leave it at nonsense for right now. I think you get the idea. But I think what we do is what we tell ourselves is so important. And she said, don't have that. That's a fixed mindset of saying, I can't do this. You want a growth mindset, one that says, hey, I recognize what's going on. I'm not going to put my head in the sand. I know what's going on. What can I learn from this? What can I learn from this experience? If you can train your mind that when you have problems, you will, not if, when you have problems and setbacks as an entrepreneur, that you say, ooh, that would hurt. Sometimes you're going to fall down. Sometimes you're going to skin your knee. Sometimes you're going to get bloody and it's going to hurt. I speak as an entrepreneur of doing this for many years, 38 years. I've been doing it. And I feel I'm just getting started. I look at myself as second week of kindergarten, heading for a PhD. I got a long, long way to go, and I want to learn more. And you know what? What Carol Dweck said really is right. There's that screenshotable, tweetable thing. You want to know that growth mindset is what you're going to have. By doing that, you're going to prepare yourself much better for the future. And then here's another book I'm going to highly recommend to you from Angela Duckworth called Grit. She is also a psychologist, a professor at Wharton, University of Pennsylvania. And she talks about grit, getting in there and going for it. And I love the way she describes it. It's passion and perseverance for long-term goals, staying with there. And the thing that really is encouraging to me, because I'm sometimes not the smartest guy out there, I do some things I go, oh, Terry, what are you doing there? Terry, what are you thinking? And I've listened to what she says, where she says, you don't have to be the smartest one, but it's the one who stays with it, perseveres, and has passion. And you keep adjusting. That doesn't mean it's not important to have intelligence. It means have your intelligence, but whatever you're dealt with, keep progressing from there. And use video today. This is a real critical tool. You want to get video. It used to be it's only just for TV. Now it's for a whole lot more than that. And we're using it right now here. As a matter of fact, it kind of reminds me of something I saw when I was in St. Petersburg, Russia. I was there a little while ago, and I was walking down one of their famous roads there, a little street there called Nevsky Prospect. Nevsky Prospect, they got a lot of wonderful shops there, restaurants and bars and things. I saw a sign on a restaurant. It was in English. I loved it. It said, vodka, it's not just for breakfast anymore. I thought, hey, I like these Russians already. But as vodka is not for breakfast anymore, just for breakfast anymore, TV is not the only thing for video. We're going to be doing a whole lot more because like today, as you know, we're doing a lot with screen sharing, with video conferencing. This gives us the ability to kind of move around a little bit, to get things done, to do that without having to move around, sometimes being stationary. We're learning a lot about that. I did a lot of this with Skype. When I was working, as Morgan mentioned, when she was introducing me, I worked with Skype as their chief enterprise blogger and got a chance to see them. Wonderful people, wonderful company there, and what they did, and using and deploying those tools, really important. And of course, now today we use Zoom. Zoom is really good. It gives you the ability to get a lot done. We had not done as much with it until the pandemic, and it really skyrocketed Zoom. I knew that it was going to do well because I had a chance a while back to meet Eric Yuan, the CEO of Zoom, and I interviewed him and had a good chance. As a matter of fact, I want to share with you some of that that you can see and what it is, what he had to say. As a matter of fact, Morgan, I think I've got this right here where I can share my screen. I wanted to make sure that I can do that here. I think I'm there. One moment here. Let me get this and set this up because I want you to hear this. What he had to say is really, really important on there. Plugin is required. Hold on a minute. Okay, never mind. We'll do that. And then we'll come here. I think we did try this on this here. It seemed to play before, and now we're having some fun with it. But anyway, I'm going to do this and put this over here. This is what Eric had to say, and I'm going to use my microphone here and see, make sure you can hear a little bit of this as well.
I think in high level, video as a new form of communication will become a mainstream product. from a sales perspective, I think that can dramatically improve your sales productivity. You know, many case studies, told us, if you turn on the video, could be 30% or 35% productivity improvement. And also with video, your communication experience will be more intimate. I think given that, almost every company, they have a branch office everywhere, right? With video, I think you can get your team, very well connected.
Yeah, so I like that. I think one of the nice things about a product like Zoom or others that do web conferencing is you get a chance to pull everyone together, or you can do it one-on-one. Like you and I right now are just seeing each other directly in our office. And I have to underline and put an exclamation mark behind what you said. The idea of it's a much more intimate, much better way of communicating.
And I think that's true. That's what Eric said. And he was right. You know what? The market has shown him that he has done really well with that. I'm going to put my mic back on here. And you see what he said is profound. And now he's a multi-billionaire. He went public. He has done very well. And I got to tell you, just by talking to him and seeing him a little bit that I saw there and some of his people, he is a guy that embodies the idea of an agorapreneur, the idea of anything that's peaceful, that Leonard Read, founder of the Foundation for Economic Education, said and told us so well. That is there. Eric came over from China, didn't have much money at all, living in a really small apartment, starving student routine, doing that, putting himself through school, got out, started this company, got with it, and brought in some other people, and now has done very well. And I think that is what it's all about, really getting ahead. But what you got to do is you got to be willing to invest in yourself. And I love the way that Ben Franklin said it long ago when he said, empty the coins in your purse into your mind, and your mind will fill your purse with coins. There's another one for a screenshot, screenshotable, if you will. Get that and make sure that you realize, okay, I'm going to pour some coins. I'm going to take my capital and I'm going to invest in learning new valuable skills. It might be you say, hey, I'm going to learn how to do that programming thing. I'm going to learn Python or C++ or whatever would be the right one to use, something like that. Or I'm going to invest in this course on learning how to sell. I'm going to invest in this to do that. Be willing to part with your capital and do that. Well, now I'm going to show you some tools and things that can help you in a practical way. We're looking at the idea in the picture there, and I want to go through this as well and get some of that. But before we do that, I'm going to pause right here for just a moment, and we're going to turn it over to you if you're there and see if we have, I have not been watching the chat. Do we have any questions that have come in or anything that might be good that we can address right now?
Yeah, so we do have one question. This is from an anonymous attendee. How long did the telegraph take?
How long does a telegraph take? Oh, it depends. A telegraph is going to be where you have words to say, and each word or letter has certain dashes and dots that they put together to communicate that. You need to learn that language. It's all like a language. So like, for instance, SOS is dot, 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 something like that. And so you know that the three long dashes and the three short dots means SOS, which means save our ships. So when they would hear those sounds, they would understand, okay, something's in trouble. This is an emergency. And that became a code for emergency. So it just depends on how long you wanted it to be. But they could send a message in 10 to 20 minutes or so, and they're able to get it, and someone on the other end who's a trained telegraph operator would be able to write it down and then deliver that message to someone. It was almost instantaneous, not quite, but almost instantaneous communication.
Awesome. So far, that's our only question.
Okay, good. Well, if you got any other questions, be sure to put those in there, and we'll look forward to talking with you about those. And I want to share with you this tool that is really profound. This tool you might be using. If you're not, write this down. You will thank me for this. It's called Loom. They have a free version and they have a paid version. Loom gives you email video, which means that what you can do is you can bring your message in with video. People will be able to see you and hear what you're saying and be able to watch that. I've sent some of those, Morgan, to you, and you've been able to see those, so you really see me, and then I can share a screen answering questions that might come in an email. You can use this to create instructional videos. So you might show, here's how you do such and such, showing the screen and having your picture on there, having your video on or not. It'd be your choice on that. It is incredibly easy to use, very incredible, easy to use. And now they have captions, which is pretty amazing. It gives you the ability to do a lot with that. And so I would suggest what you want to do is you want to use Zoom for those kind of things, making sure that it's going to be something that you can get. I would suggest start with the free version. They have the free version and they do have a paid version as well. I use the free version for a long time. And then I went to the paid version because it gives you a few extra features and a few extra enhancements that's there. Then using Loom will be one way that you can use that. Now, here's another tool that can be really, really helpful for you. I would recommend strongly that you look at content creation and look at, whoops, let me get this here, content creation as a bonus using this with dictation, because this is something that's very important. The sooner you can get your ideas and thoughts into a printed form, the better off you'll be when you're creating content. And here's something that's really important to remember when you're doing it. You can talk faster than you can write. We go, well, yeah, okay, that's right. Well, think about it. What you can do is you can take your smartphone, talk into it through dictation, and get the idea from your brain down into a printed form much faster than you can write it down longhand or even type in most cases. Typing, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll start typing and I type in, oh, I made a mistake. Hold on. Oh, made another mistake. Now let me try it again. Okay. Oh, I made another mistake. Boy, if I could just learn how to type. And you see what's happening there? My thoughts are on the negativity of I'm not typing or I'm making too many mistakes. And instead of doing that, take your smartphone and do a quick dump of your ideas, your thoughts, and get them down there. It's a rough draft. It is not the final product. You just got it there. Then you'll take it and you language it. You wordsmith it a little bit to make sure that you're getting the right tools and getting the right ideas and saying it in just the right way that you can do it. That's where I recommend you use voice dictation. Voice dictation on your smartphone or on your computer. You can speed the thought flow from brain to text very, very much that way. It gives you the ability to get a lot more done, a whole lot faster too. And you get comfortable with dictation as you do it. So I encourage you to do a lot with that. Practice with it. And here's a bonus. Dictate in another language. I'm working on Spanish right now. And so on my smartphone, I'll switch it over to Spanish as the language here. And then I practice on my pronunciation, trying to make my real stumbling and feeble Spanish much better that way. And I can exercise it. And by using dictation in another language, you're really stretching your brain cells and do it a lot better there. And another one, write this down. If you're not using Google voice typing, look into it. It is phenomenal. Go into Google Docs, and in Google Docs, you'll see under tools, there's a voice typing option. The capability that it has is outstanding. It is amazing what you can do with that and how it works. I recommend getting into that. Well, as we begin to wrap up here, I want to give you some action steps that are going to help you to really put this into real practice and start making it work. First of all, learn how to learn faster. In today's market, it's changing at breakneck speed. And if you can learn a new skill that is valuable to the market and people are willing to pay for, you learn that skill faster than others, you're going to do very well. Learn how to do it. There's psychologists and people that have written a lot of good books on this, and I encourage you to take a look at that, see how it can help you and how you can do that. Also, learn how to learn better and faster, learning both. The two of them together really are what you need. And here's something real important. Circle this one and red flag it. Learn how to learn what's relevant. What is relevant? Like I mentioned before, learning something that people really don't care about is not going to help you as much as an entrepreneur. You want to make sure that you've got something that the market says, hey, that's really good. We need to know that kind of stuff. Learn to build relationships. This is as important or more so than the book learning and the skills. Now, skills are important, but getting along with other people is one of the most valuable skills you can develop, particularly people who are ornery. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Those kind of people, they're hard to get along with. But if you can find ways to connect with them, you're going to do much better. I think it was Andrew Carnegie who said he would pay more for a man who knew how to get along with others and work with them than any other skill. Because if you can work with others and motivate them, you don't necessarily have to be the person that has the skill, but you can help someone who does have the skill to get the job done. That is really, really important for you and me to be able to do. And learn to think not yet. This is an important concept. Too often people say, oh, gee, I can't do this thing right now. And they're right. They can't. And then they start getting into a negativity spiral and they're going downward. They're going, oh, I can't do it. I'm no good. I can't. And they start spiraling downward. Instead, what you want to do is you want to say, well, I don't know how to do that yet, but I'm willing to pay the time, the money, and the energy to do it. I'll take the courses. I'll sign up with an online course. I will enroll in a course. I will hire a mentor. I'll hire a tutor. I'll hire somebody to help me do that. So learn how to think not yet instead of no, I can't. And then learn how to learn aggressively. Learn how to learn aggressively. You're going to do better. I'm going to pause right here so you get a screenshot of this if you'd like. Take that screen. And these are concepts that will be really helpful for you moving forward to get that. And then here's some other action steps. And these are going to be worth their weight in gold to you. First of all, photo reading is a tool that I learned a while back that has helped me to read enormously, to read and to comprehend. Now, they don't pay me a commission on this. I paid as a student to go there and learn it. You learn how to read at much faster rates, not just speed reading, but it goes way beyond it. It's from a company called Learning Strategies based up in Minnesota. Memory development is important too. You want to learn how to remember. The more you can remember, particularly names and faces, and when you can remember important data, that's really good. We think today, well, I don't need to. I've got Google. Why should I memorize the capitals? Stretches your brain first. And there are other times when you need to combine different pieces of information that you can't get from just a Google search. Sharpen your inquisitive mind. Our minds need to be inquisitive, going, how come? Why? That's the key to entrepreneurial thinking. To be an agorapreneur, you want to do that. And ask more questions. Ask lots of questions about how come and why and how is this doing that? How can I make this work? And what can I do to make that a little bit better? And then learn to listen and watch faster. Here's one. I'm going to pause right here so you can get a screenshot of this as well. But you want to listen and watch faster. And what I mean by that, when we're listening to audio, you want to make that audio go by at a faster rate, at 1.5x or 2x, because here's what's happening. Not only do you listen to something that's this long in this much time, but your brain remembers it better. Because when you're listening to someone talk, the speed they have is going to affect your learning. For instance, if I talk to you like this in a real slow pace for about 2 hours, guess what's going to happen? Yeah, you're going to be falling asleep. You're going, wow, this is so slow. And here's that terrible word, boring. But if I pick it up and I'm speaking fast enough so you can understand me, but also you have to kind of lean forward mentally, you're going to remember it better because your brain is working harder. And when your brain works harder to remember, you do better and you remember something much longer and you learn how to make it work much faster. Again, I want to help you on this, and here's a way you can get this. No charge again for the 5K course on creating content that you can take, put to use right away. This is something that gives you a chance for you and me to get involved. You'll be able to sign up for my newsletter and we can stay in touch that way. And if you don't like it, you can bail out of there at any time you want. So I believe in freedom of choice, anything that's peaceful, as Leonard Reed said over and over. So I'm going to pause here again. It looks like, Morgan, we've got just a few minutes left before we finish. I'm going to pause for any questions that might be there from someone in the audience or comments or ideas.
So the first question we have is, do you invest in the stock market?
I do not, but I think done the right way, it is good, but I am not qualified to give advice on the stock market. I've been investing in 2 areas that are guaranteed are going to help you. Now, use the word guaranteed carefully because you don't want to use that term around a lot of folks. I invest first and foremost in my health, making sure you take care of your health mentally, spiritually, physically. Make sure I put a little extra premium. I will pay more to get the right foods, to get the right kind of drinks and substances. And of course, be careful what you put into your body. Hey, as a free market guy, I believe you should be able to put anything into your body that you choose. But there's some things you shouldn't do that. I mean, I feel we do not need a government law saying it is illegal and we're going to throw you in prison if you drink turpentine. We do not need that law. I mean, most people know that, but if they could say, well, it could kill you. Well, yeah, it probably could, but that doesn't mean you got to have a law for it. Just be smart and realize don't put that into your body if it can harm you, and get help from professionals on that. So I invest in my own health, and then I invest in education that is market valuable education. Now, in the stock market, there's some really good ways to do that. There's some really, really smart people. I tend to lean toward more people that are free market oriented. I would not want to have a communist leading me in my investment decisions in the stock market. I would not want a socialist leading me in that, because they believe, well, just spare and share around. I believe in more of the free market style. So I hope that answers the question, but I would also look at other areas you can invest in and see whether crypto, I'm real big on crypto. I'm just saying, study that market and get help from those who are smart now.
Our next question is, what have you done as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, I started my own business as a professional speaker. And I've been a professional speaker now 38 years, and been able to travel around the world, 44 countries now, and been able to speak. And I also worked as part of that, working with various corporations. I was with Skype, as I mentioned. Also, AT&T had me as their editor-in-chief. And I was an entrepreneur operating within AT&T, not as an employee, but working with them for their largest blog. They had about 100 geniuses reporting to me with articles. And then more recently with Ace Hardware, where I was in charge, their chief retail advisor, working with them for training their people outside of Ace here in the United States with their global solutions system. So that's what I've done as an entrepreneur, and have been able to enjoy doing the kind of work I do as a coach, as a speaker, as a consultant, helping people. So I'm really an advisor in many different ways. And I'm just getting started after 38 years and looking forward to even more in the future.
I love to hear it, Terry. Our next question, do you have any suggestions to help focus on a live class that you tend to have your mind wander on?
Yeah, it's good to have that focus. When you've got a class and your mind can tend to wander, keep asking questions inside. Say, yeah, but what does that mean? What does that mean? Be inquisitive on that, and always focus in on the words that the instructor is saying. Listen intently. I mean, listen so that you're just kind of leaning forward. I like the way my friend Chris Brogan says it. We need to grow bigger ears. Listen more carefully and start asking those questions, and force your brain to go there. Now your mind is going to go, ooh, oh, squirrel, squirrel over here. You know, not that my mind would ever do that. No, my mind would never do something like that. Yeah, right. Hey, it happens to all of us. And so what you want to do is, it's a discipline. And by the way, a technique I found that helps me is meditation. By meditating, get some guided meditation initially, get some good ideas and other kinds of meditation that work for you. Find what's there. There's a wonderful resource of meditation out on YouTube on many different areas. There's many companies that offer this. I'm using brain.fm. They have a guided and unguided meditation as part of mind energizing, relaxing, or stimulating music, depending on what you need. So I would say that's a good way to stay in touch on those seminars that you're in. When your mind starts wandering, you go, come on back here. Yes, all right, let's focus again on this.
That's going to be helpful for me too. So our last question, at least for right now, how many languages do you speak?
Oh, well, I'm working on English right now. So I'm working to get that better and better, and literally all the time. I speak a little bit of Russian. I studied in undergrad school. I can get around the streets of St. Petersburg a little bit, and Moscow there. I also studied Japanese. I've been to Japan about 10 times, so I can speak a little bit of Japanese in Tokyo, or my favorite city in Japan, Fukuoka, and see that. By the way, it's the sister city for Atlanta, Georgia. And over there, I get to see it. It's in their southern part now in Kyushu. And so Japanese, Spanish, I'm working on right now, Russian, and a little bit of English too. So I'm working on those, and I got a long way to go. And for me, it's just a thrill to do it. I'd encourage you listening to this right now to get another language. Whatever your language is, we find that it helps to refine your life, make it more enriched. You get a chance to connect with people who speak that language in a way that doesn't happen for those that can't speak the language, even if it's just a few words. And I have just a few stumbling words in my Spanish, but I love it. It's a great language, and I'm really enjoying working with it.
We have another question. What was the meditation site that you would recommend, or maybe a few of them?
There are a few. Brain.fm is an app that I've used, and you can get that on iOS and on Android. I think I pay $60 a year for it, and it is well worth it. I use that when I'm reading, my mind gets energized, when I need to relax, or if I want the guided meditation or the non-guided meditation, Brain.fm. Another one is called Headspace. Headspace is a very popular meditation tool that's really good. And I like that. And then I would just go do a search and find out what works for you. On YouTube, type in meditation, and you'll see a bazillion, I think that's the exact number, a bazillion references come up with meditation. Find the one that works for you. I know that Mark Divine also does that. He is a former commander in the United States Navy, a former Navy SEAL, and he has a program where he teaches meditation as well and does that. The SEALs use a lot of meditation because they have to be focused.
So those are all the questions that we have. We do have a comment from an attendee that says that he often listens to recorded classes so he can speed it up a time and a half.
Yes.
So
That's a real good idea. I encourage you to do that, speeding up, because it forces you to lean forward, to listen a little bit more carefully when it's going at a faster rate. Good for you, and I would encourage you to stay with that. And by the way, before we leave, let me mention this again. If you have questions or ways I can help you, just drop me an email, terry@terrybrock.com. It's the best way to reach me, and that's spelled Terry, and Brock is spelled the right way, Brock. So it's terry@terrybrock.com for questions and how to reach me on social media, and all of that information is there for you.
awesome. Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you for all of our attendees today. Be sure to be on the lookout for our next installment of FEE on Campus, which will be on May 19th. So just keep a lookout on our FEE on Campus page. We'll have more details soon. But if there aren't any questions, I will actually, there's one more.
Good.
Can you answer one more quickly?
Sure, absolutely.
Sure.
Mike, if you've got other questions, I know we are technically scheduled to end here. Well, we can do it. If you have other commitments, welcome to leave on that. But I'm going to stick around here as long as people have questions and as long as I can.
So we have a question about that's sort of a follow-up from the comment. Would you recommend for me to speed my recordings for my math class up?
Yes, I think for some you will, like a math class, you might be able to, but there are other times, I know from photo reading, that you're going to slow it down. Actually, when I'm watching a language, I'll go to YouTube and I'll watch a language thing like in Russian or Spanish. I sometimes take it down to below 1.0 so that I can hear the pronunciation correctly. I need to hear it at that slow speed the first time or second time. I want to get it right. Accuracy first, then momentum. Let's get it accurate first, then we go toward the momentum. And so you want to use that. And so I would say, yes, by all means, use that in different areas. Math is a different kind of work. And so you might not use it as much in math. And sometimes if you're in math, or maybe it's a very difficult concept, maybe you're studying something that's really, really tough and it's on history. You might think, well, there's no numbers there. Sometimes you got to slow it down. Think of it like driving a car. Sometimes you can speed it up. You can get it up there, kick it up to 60, 70, 80, whatever the speed limit is. We recommend going the speed limit, doing that, stay there. Or sometimes you got to slow it down. You have to slow it down because the traffic is a little too much. So treat your reading and your learning that way. Be able to accelerate it or to slow it down so that sometimes you say, I know that already. Okay, I can go over that. I can go over that. Then you get to something, you go, ooh, this is important. We slow it down and we take it a little bit slower, step by step in bite-sized chunks. That's what I would recommend.
So we have two more questions.
Good.
Yeah, do you think that ASL is a good language to learn?
I don't know. I've heard of it. I am not a programmer, but I've heard about ASL. I've heard of others, Python and C++ and JavaScript. And so I would just say, find out where the market is leaning. For me to say, yes, such and such language is the right one, when first of all, I'm not a programmer and I'm not in that market, but I would say, find out where the demand is. That's a good language to know, where there's a real demand of people say, oh, you can do oogity boogity. I'm making that up. Oogity boogity. So they say, yeah, you're a genius. Well, then we will pay you here big dollars because you know oogity boogity. So do your research. Find out like a straight Google search of most popular programming languages, most in demand programming languages. I would go over to DuckDuckGo and I would go over to Google or your favorite search engine and find out what programming languages are in high demand. And then do that on 2 or 3 different ways of languaging it. And then you're going to start seeing some consistency. They'll go say, oh, look at this. These 2 keep bubbling up toward the top. So get into that. Let that be the way that you make your decisions based on research.
I'm not sure if they meant a programming language, or it could have. They also meant maybe American Sign Language.
Oh,
I'm
American
not
Sign
really
Language. Of
sure.
course. Thank
Yeah. So
you.
maybe if you could talk about that one too, it would be helpful.
And again, I would say the learn a language is going to be relevant, but if you're in an environment where American Sign Language, ASL, is going to be needed, or it's something that you want to learn, you got a passion for it, I would say get started at least. Try it. One of the nice things we can do today is we can go online and on YouTube and other places and places where we can pay for it and take a beginning starter class in ASL. See if you like it. See if, number one, you like it. Number two, is there a demand for this? And think about how are you going to use it? Do you have a loved one? Do you have a friend or a relative or someone you know that you think, I need to learn ASL so that I can connect with them? I would say do that. And thank you very much for helping me on that. Yeah, ASL is not a programming language. Suddenly my mind was in programming languages and I just jumped over there. But use that same principle. Like for instance, should you learn Japanese? Should you learn Spanish? Should you learn Greek? Well, the answer is it depends. And develop your criteria for it depends that's right for you. And what depends for some, absolutely learning Greek might be the language they need to know. For others, not necessarily. So find out what it is that's going to be best for you in your particular situation. Love these questions. Just keep them coming.
Yeah, so the next one, there's a 2-parter. So the first part is, did you go to college? What college did you go to? Actually 3 parts. What was your major? And then this person is going to major in veterinary science.
Oh, well, veterinary science is always going to be good as long as we have animals. So now, if we didn't have any more animals, it wouldn't be good. But no, it's an excellent one to use. For me, undergrad school, I started when I was a junior in high school. I went to Jackson Community College, which is what it was called at that time in Jackson, Michigan. And I did that. Then I graduated early from high school and went to Great Lakes Bible College, which is now called Great Lakes Christian College up in Lansing, Michigan. Then I transferred to Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where my major was radio, TV, newspaper. We called it telecommunications, but it was really radio, TV, and newspaper. And I had worked in radio and I had worked in newspaper also before. So I did that. That was my bachelor's degree. And then I learned about this thing called business and profit and loss statements. And I found out they were really important. And so I said, I better learn some of that stuff. So I went back for an MBA and went to Georgia State University, where I got my MBA sitting under one of the greats, Tom Stanley, who wrote a series of books called The Millionaire Next Door. And also got a chance to work there with or see David Schwartz, who was the chair of the marketing department at Georgia State. David Schwartz had written a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. Real popular book that is still good today, even though neither of those two are with us. But that was where I went to Georgia State University for my MBA. And now I'm going to what they call the School of Hard Knocks, the school of getting out there and constantly learning, taking courses, signed up for many different programs. I enroll regularly in new skill learning. Gina Carr, my partner, and I are constantly talking about that. And actually, sometimes we might err on the side of taking too many. And okay, we pull back from that. But I love to continually learn new languages, new ideas, new concepts, particularly as they're relevant to being an entrepreneur or that agorapreneur. And Morgan, you're still muted there.
I am muted.
Mm.
We had one clarifying question. I think the same person that asked about ASL was asking if maybe that would be helpful, I'm assuming in her veterinary career. But I don't know about you, but I think that would be a great idea, ASL or Spanish.
Yeah, I think so. Because think about it, if you're going to be a veterinarian, First of all, I compliment you on that. We love veterinarians that take care of our animals that we love so much and we need them, and taking care of them. And I would say there could be a market. I don't know, just kind of curious in my mind. Is there a market for a veterinarian who caters to those who are using ASL? Those who use ASL and need it for communication. And we find, is there a market for that? Well, there could be. And there could be for the hearing impaired or deaf people that need help in that, for a veterinarian that does that. That could be an extra selling point for you. Matter of fact, I find often you get a real advantage when you can be real good in one field. A lot of people are in that field, but you're also good in another field that's kind of adjacent to that, maybe separate, but there's a strong demand for it. So like, for instance, if you know engineering, that's good. But if you know engineering and you can speak Japanese, ooh, that opens up a little market that not every engineer can do and not everyone who speaks Japanese can do. And then if third, you're also real good with, I'm just going to pull this out of the air, cryptocurrency. And you really know cryptocurrency and they're working in crypto, you can combine 2 to 3, it's hard to do more than that, skills where you're really proficient in putting those together, you're going to do very well.
So I think we will have this be our last question, but this attendee is curious about people that don't share the same beliefs that you do. And she is curious if if talking to people that don't share the same beliefs that you do is a good idea, or if that is a bad idea because maybe that means that you're wrong if someone disagrees with you.
Well, I think that's a good question. You want to think about that because we often do in our world. But I got to tell you, most of the people in the world do not agree with me on at least something. And matter of fact, I'll say everyone in the world would disagree with me on at least something because we're all human beings. And so what you want to do is, yes, you want to talk with people who disagree with you. I have dear friends, mine, I'm thinking of some friends over in England who are socialists. They claim to be social, they are, and yet we're friends. We find areas where we agree and we talk about those areas. We find the areas where we disagree and we sit down and we're respectful of each other. I want to hear it from their point of view. And I mean that sincerely. I say, tell me why you believe that. And I'm not arguing with them, not arguing at all. But it's like, okay, so let me get this straight. What you're saying is you believe this because of this. Is that right? That's a good thing to do. You want to be able to understand it from the other person's point of view. Matter of fact, it's Charlie Munger that says it really well. He is Warren Buffett's business partner. And he said, you're not qualified to argue for a certain position unless you can also first argue the other opposing position point of view eloquently and argue it real well. You need to understand their point of view and be able to argue their point of view using their arguments, even if you believe the other side, because then you'll be able to say, you believe this because of this, is that right? And go, yeah, that's true. And this and this, and your premises are this. Ayn Rand told us that. She would always use that phrase. I think it's so good. Check your premises. People will say, well, I believe we ought to do this. Check your premises. What are your premises that you feel that the government has a right to steal money from some people in order to help this other group? What are your premises on that? And listen, don't argue, don't interrupt. So yeah, I would say you're going to be a better person, a more enriched life when you can peacefully and amicably communicate with many, many different people, accentuate the areas where you find that you have a common belief. Fortunately, as someone who believes in a more voluntaristic idea approach, libertarian, anarchist, or whatever you're going to say, I don't like to use a label. I just say, I created my own label, agorapreneur. I believe in doing whatever you want, don't initiate force or coercion. And I find I learn a lot more when I'm listening to others, asking more questions than making statements, and learning from them. That is something I found real important, something that we all need to do more of.
Yeah, I couldn't agree, Terry. That's wonderful news. I think that's great life advice, just not even for our college students in the audience, but for everyone as a lifelong learner.
Yep, everyone. Well, only human beings, but then maybe animals too. I don't know, Could be. But hey, thanks so much for those of you that are joining us. This really means a lot, and I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a note, terry@terrybrock.com. And I want to thank the wonderful people at Fee and Morgan for your help in putting all this together, making it happen, because Fee has been something I put on my website. I was telling her this anything that's peaceful. And Leonard Reed put that in there way before we even talked, because to me, that is just rock solid core philosophy of how to live your life. And I so appreciate Fee and anyone from Fee that's watching this in recording. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm high-fiving you across the miles and saying thanks. And I look forward to learning and helping more with Fee in the future. Morgan, thank you for your help. And I'll leave it to you now to wrap up everything.